They spent 3 years planning this.
Now let's go to Berlin. And we'll keep an eye on the Vatican to make sure that we hear the Pope. The Brandenburg Gate in a unified Berlin. For the first time since the end of World War II.
Sul quadrante della storia scocca un'ora importante. Inizia in questo momento l'anno 2000.
Roy, his name in Polish.
L'anno che si introduce in un nuovo millennio. Per I credenti è l'anno del grande giubileo. Buon anno a tutti voi.
It was so important to this Pope to make it to the millennium. He's 79 years old. He was elected the Bishop of Rome in 1978. And somewhere in our system, I think we have an interpreter who will translate and pass on his Italian.
Nel varcare la soglia del nuovo anno, mi piacerebbe bussare alla porta delle vostre case per recare a ciascuno il mio augurio cordiale.
We'll come back to the Pope as soon as we can translate him. I apologize to all of those of you in the audience who speak Italian naturally. And undoubtedly, knowing Pope John Paul II, he will talk in several languages before he has finished giving his blessing and his wishes for the new millennium. And we're back in Paris, where the French have, Barbara Walters, absolutely outdone themselves. To think they were going to tear this tower down in 1909.
Can you imagine? And they only left it because it had a radio aerial. Well, what you can see now are the sparkles of those 20,000 lights that mountain climbers literally had to climb and put up there. There is now a beacon that's going to, you can see it now, that's going to be going all through the year 2000, all of those lights sparkling. And the Eiffel Tower finally did it. This is the most famous landmark in Europe, and 4 billion people, they tell us, will be watching this all over the world. It was something. That's the beacon at the top, 1,000 feet high. Can you hear the people? There are probably as many as in Times Square, shouting and watching this magnificent spectacle.
And back to Vatican City. To ponder, as I'm sure Cokie Roberts will elaborate on this man who has been so important to the latter part of this century. Cokie, I went back with him on his first official trip to Poland. He looks so frail now, and as I said earlier, he was so determined to make it here.
And he made it, and he is still determined to make it to the Holy Land in March, and to make it as many places as he can throughout this Jubilee year. He does rally, Peter, for events like this, and what he's doing now is offering prayerful good wishes to the people of the world. It's really a New Year's wish. Now he's singing the song of the very long-standing of wishing. It's a Gregorian chant of wishing you the blessing in the Latin. But his message has essentially just been a message of good, happy New Year's wishes, saying Christ yesterday, today, and forever. To him belong time and the ages. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. And as you can see, this crowd is waited for him happily, standing and continued to greet them as they waved these torches, torches that were lit from the Holy Land, and now singing hymns. So it's not the exuberance of Paris, but it is a commemoration of what this 2,000 years is all about.
Certainly on the Christian calendar, without question. We've seen him sapped of his energy down through the years, but here in front of St. Peter's Square and St. Peter's Basilica, the premier church of Roman Catholic Christendom, named for his disciple Peter, who was also the first pope, we see, as Koki says, the great commemoration of why much of the world is celebrating this millennium this evening.
Peter, you know, this spot where St. Peter's is has been a place of worship since well before Christianity. It's one of those spots that human beings have congregated on and worshiped deities from time out of mind. And it seems to continue to attract people in that way, that as a sacred spot throughout the generations.
Thank you, Koki. That's the Pope and the Papal Apartments. Now let's go back to Paris for their grand finale of their midnight celebration.
It started at the bottom and then just kept enveloping it in all different colors. Probably the most spectacular fireworks we've seen yet. And then the whole of the Eiffel Tower was lit by 20,000 bulbs and Christmas lights, so that the entire city is reflected in this glorious landmark. And you know, Peter, this is a great night for Paris. As you pointed out earlier, they've had some very difficult times, occupied by the Germans. 2 world wars fought in this country, and now it is a very happy and exciting time. On the Champs-Élysées, which is closed off to cars, there are Ferris wheels that are running for the first time, 11 of them, each one with a different scene, from acrobats to internet to performers. All of the trees are lit, all of the bridges are lit, Peter. It is a city absolutely ablaze, and if we sound excited, it's because it's just been, in terms of a celebration, something glorious to see. Paris outdid itself.
Thanks, Barbara. I apologize for interrupting. We could not complete this midnight without going to Madrid, which isn't perhaps quite the city with a sense of drama that Paris and Rome has too, but at the Puerta del Sol, in the very center of the old city, the official celebration of midnight in Madrid. In the Plaza Mayor, thousands of Spaniards have come together to remind themselves of where they have been in this century. And they've been a lot of places and made a fabulously great number of contributions to history. And they now, and we'll talk to them before the evening is over, will wish to share their wishes for the new millennium as well. Our coverage of ABC 2000's Millennium around the world will continue in just a moment.
What do you have, folks?
A large pepperoni pizza.
And a Pepsi, please?
Sure thing, Curly.
Thank you.
Hey, we both know I ordered a Pepsi Cola, and now you've insulted me by offering me this. But I'd like to give you a chance to make amends. Capiche? Here you go.
Good eye.
To capture your New Year's kiss. Save up to $12 now on select Polaroid cameras and film. Save now before December 31st.
Hey, Annie Matthews. What's on your plate today?
Today's gonna be great, but really busy. 10, maybe 15 cuts.
Lunch is here, Annie.
I'll probably grab a quick bite when I can.
Annie, your 2 o'clock's here.
And maybe get heartburn. I used to think Tums if I'd already eaten. Not anymore.
Now you can take Pepsid AC whenever you need it. Pepsid AC controls heartburn before, during, or even after you eat.
Of I can take you.
No matter what's on your plate, today should be heartburn-free with Pepsid AC.
The new year is just over the hill and around the corner. Time is running out, but there's still a little left. So hurry in and save during the final days of the Chevy Make Your Money Count year-end event. It's your last chance
to get huge cash back on these new Chevrolets. The cars and trucks you can depend on. Or low APR financing on Chevy Silverado, the truck.
So come in now to the Chevy Make Your Money Count year-end event. Don't let your turn to win pass you by.
2000. What are you looking forward to? Look forward to. The Event Network. ABC. The return of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
And the Emmy goes to...
The Primetime Emmy Awards.
The streak is over!
The Daytime Emmy Awards.
Whitney Houston!
The American Music Awards. Plus the Academy Awards.
Thank you!
And the Super Bowl. 2000. The biggest events of the new century are only on one network. ABC.
Live from around the world, this is ABC 2000. Once again from Times Square in New York, Peter Jennings.
It's a little after 6 o'clock Eastern time now. We've just seen these extraordinary celebrations in France and this equally moving but in very different way from Vatican City, thanks to Barbara Walters and Cookie Roberts who've been there. But we haven't been down actually in Times Square for just a while. We just heard the mayor tell us a short while ago that there are as many people here at this time of the day as there were last year for the actual midnight celebration themselves. And there has not, to the best of our knowledge, been an incident of any magnitude, of any significance in this city or any other to disrupt the celebrations. Oh, there were a few minor things in Sydney, Australia earlier today, largely blamed on the exuberance of the moment. And I guess any of us who've ever come to Times Square know that what you see here are partly New Yorkers, but partly people from everywhere else in the world, because people who come to New York always want to see Times Square. Signs down there wishing Nora happy 2000 in New Mexico. Glad he put up that one. People have come with handmade signs. Another one down here says, "Go Bucks, you go boy." Hello Canton, Ohio. There's a tremendous crowd, and somewhere out there I think is ABC's Jack Ford. Am I right or wrong? Can we make contact with him at the moment, or has he been temporarily swallowed by the crowd? Hi, Jack, I can see you there.
Peter, I can see you over there.
Good.
As you were saying, there's a crowd out here. They're all carrying some interesting signs. You know, as you look out at the crowd, Peter, I know you mentioned before that there were more people at about 5:30 here than there were all of last year. Well, we understand from talking to the police sources here that the crowd now is stretching back here up to 50th Street. They never expected it would go back that far. But as you walk around through the crowds, Peter, as you know, there was a great deal of concern over both security and how to safely manage these crowds. Well, so far, obviously the security concerns, we can't tell what's happening except for the fact that there have been no problems out here. And we know that the police were out here for literally days in advance to prepare all that. But in terms of the management of the crowd, it has been perhaps even more successful than they had anticipated. They have utilized this system of what they've been calling pens, where they would shepherd the viewers and the spectators into these pens. They'd fill them up about 2/3 of the way, so there was room for them to expand, room for them to move around. And it has been a very manageable system. Literally, we out here who are reporting on this, along with the police who are patrolling, can stroll along through the streets, talk to people. The people can see everything they want to see. You can hear them now making a little bit of noise as the camera is panning over them. So clearly, in terms of the organizers of this Times Square 2000 event, it has been successful. They are pleased with the people here. The weather has now become somewhat more accommodating than it was this morning. And the folks are sitting here and just waiting for that ball that went up to the top of that shaft at about 7 o'clock this morning and went up to a huge roar, even given the small amount of folks that were here at the time. These people are now waiting patiently for it to drop to the bottom. Peter?
Thanks very much, Jack. I just want to give people a quick sense of where we've been. Here's the international dateline. This is where we started today. This is where the new century began in New Zealand, Tonga, and Kiribati. And on the USS Topeka, if you were here this morning, you remember it was an American submarine under the international dateline who first greeted the new century. And we've moved all across Asia now and across much of Western Europe and through Bethlehem and Cairo and now Berlin and Rome and Paris, London to come, Rio de Janeiro to come, and all of the United States to come. The celebration on the easternmost part of the United States will occur in Newfoundland, and I'm not sure how long that is from now. We've got so many clocks around here, but I hope you'll stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
You can be my voice. You can stop child abuse.
You can make the call. 1-800-4-CHILD.
If you know about or suspect child abuse, please call.
It's anonymous and free. 1-800-4-CHILD helps abused children and their families every day. You can stop child abuse, or you can let it happen. You make the call.
People who go to Cuyahoga Community College succeed. Within 2 years of taking classes, 85% have better jobs or are making more money. 38% got promoted. 33% started new careers. That's why career-oriented students agree. Cuyahoga Community College is where futures begin. Start your future now. Make that call today. Classes start January 18th.
There is no news story that affects more of our viewers than a big weather story.
We make decisions very consciously about our approach to severe weather.
It's also educating people. The experience we all have in covering severe weather makes it absolutely great to work with these guys. Together as a team, we're going to go on the air, we're going to get you where you need to go safely. Viewers are smart. They know who gives the best forecast, and we're very thankful that they turn to News Channel 5.
Aquatic Technology invites you to submerge yourself into one of the largest saltwater stores in the world. Aquatic Technology is Northeast Ohio's worldwide connection for healthy saltwater fish, corals, and live rock. Find only the highest quality supplies designed to ensure years of enjoyment. We have everything you need to get started. For the advanced aquarist, there's no need to special order. We have the exotic, hard-to-find species in stock. Aquatic Technology, just 7 miles west of I-71 on Route 82 in Columbia Station. It's worth the trip.
Big time, a big taste. It's a big time, a big taste. Epic D-O-N-A-L-E-S.
Enjoy 4 fabulous combo meals for just $1.99 each. That's big. And McDonald's has never tasted better. Plus, double cheeseburgers just 99 cents each every day.
It's a big time, the big taste. Epic D-O-N-A-L-E-S.
Did somebody say McDonald's? 4 combo meals, just $1.99 each.
Well, nighttime has fallen over the North Coast, and the city of Cleveland is getting ready for its biggest party ever. You're looking live at Public Square from News Chopper 5. And in just about 2.5 hours, thousands will converge on the square to ring in a new year, a new century.
Happy New Year early, everybody. There's also a huge party down in Summit County in Akron right now. The annual First Night Akron Party, brought to you by News Channel 5, promises to be bigger and better than ever before, for very good reason, because this is the biggest of them all. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ted Henry.
And I'm Lorna Barrett, and excitement is building all over Northeast Ohio tonight. Lots of parties, fireworks celebrations, and of course, ringing in the year 2000, and we're all dressed for the party.
We are. We're going to stay this way until 1:30 this morning when our coverage ends. Here in the city of Cleveland, crews have been working nonstop for days, getting the Big Bash on Public Square already. News Channel 5's Matt Callahan joins us now live from Public Square in downtown Cleveland with more on tonight's big New Year's Bash. Matt, all set?
Absolutely. Well, Ted, to put Cleveland's New Year's party into perspective, this is going to be the largest video and fireworks celebration in the entire country. Promoters are expecting there to be about 100,000 people down here tonight. It is going to be an absolute sea of humanity, and it's going to be, they're all going to be welcoming the new year in mass. And there is going to be an awful lot to see. 2 bands, including the famous Isley Brothers, will rock and roll well into the night. Spectators will also experience a 20-minute fireworks display and enjoy a retrospective video of the city on 2 jumbotrons. Organizers say if you are looking to party, this is the place.
This is the largest event that's ever been done in Cleveland, no question about it. We would expect, at the minimum, 50,000, and we could see 100, 150,000 people here tonight.
Now, Ted and Lauren, the way they have set up the fireworks here is fairly interesting. They have put the fireworks on top of 3 buildings surrounding this square. At exactly midnight, to welcome in the new millennium, they are going to set those off simultaneously, surrounding the crowd in a shower of cascading lights. So it is supposed to be a real spectacle, and I think it is something you are going to want to see. So come on down.
Matt, did you say this is going to be the biggest show in the country or in the county?
No, it's going to be the biggest video and fireworks display in the entire country.
Wow.
And in terms of numbers, it's supposed to be third only to Times Square.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, parking and traffic flow in and around the Public Square celebration will be restricted tonight and tomorrow. The following streets will be closed tonight until tomorrow morning: Superior Avenue between West 3rd and East 6th Streets, Ontario Street between St. Clair and Prospect Avenues, Rockwall Avenue at Franz Pastoria Streets, and Euclid Avenue at East 6th Street. Now, parking is also restricted on several streets in downtown Cleveland. Look for the orange no parking signs. Motorists who park in restricted areas will be towed. But they're going to be partying in Summit County tonight as well. It's the annual First Night Akron New Year's Eve party, Millenium style.
Which means it's bigger and better than ever before. The fun and all the great festivities got underway earlier this afternoon, in fact, with a 5K race and a giant parade in downtown Akron. News Channel 5's Jonathan Costin, he's been there all day. He joins us now live with more on these events, plus a look ahead to later tonight when it really starts to grow in momentum. Right, Jonathan?
That's right, Ted. As you can tell, the party's begun, and the folks here in Akron downtown are ready to welcome in the new year. You've heard it before, so you'll hear it again. Everyone loves a parade, especially on New Year's Eve. Now, who would have thought the weather would cooperate to inspire some 700 people to run in a 5K race?
And I do have a grandchild. He's 8 years old. He's in 2nd grade in Cuyahoga Falls, so damn, I can run this race. You can't swear.
Like a dentist with his tools, this ice sculptor is showing off his artwork for First Night.
People will sit on this and get their picture taken. You could probably put 3 or 4 people on here. Probably 2 adults and 2 children fit on here. And they'll sit on here and take their pictures.
Would you sit on this?
No, I wouldn't sit on it. It's a little too cold.
Well, it may be too cold to put your gluteus maximus on blocks of ice, but it's not too cold to come out here to Akron's First Night. I understand years past it was really cold. So if you do come down here, dress in layers, because remember, all the events and most of the talent shows are inside buildings, so you could peel off if you dress in layers, okay? And I'm also proud to announce that News Channel 5 is one of the sponsors of this event. And I also want to tell you, Ted, that you look like you're ready for the cover of GQ magazine. And Lorna, you look just good to yourself there. And Happy New Year to you folks. Okay?
Thank you, Jonathan.
Not bad either, Jonathan.
Yeah, and you know what? I got an extra idea, too. If we go out and sit on that big ice sculpture, we'll be super cool.
Too cool.
Thanks, Jonathan. We'll be back to you throughout the evening on News Channel 5 from the big First Night Akron celebration. Some traffic notes now. If you are heading to Akron's First Night celebration, forget about driving anywhere near Canal Park, we're told. Main Street will be closed between Exchange and State Streets until tomorrow morning. Plus, there are several fireworks shows tonight, closing High Street southbound to State Street. And, of course, it looks like it's going to be a great night for whatever New Year's Eve plans you may have.
Does. Forecaster Susan Davies joins us now with a look at the holiday weekend forecast. Susan?
It's a good one. You know, there have been New Year's Eve where you thought you were sitting on an ice sculpture the whole weekend, but not this one. We've been as low as 11 below. That's the record for Cleveland. We won't even come close tonight. It's looking great. Let's check temperatures right now. We certainly have hit our high, which was in the upper 30s. 34 now in Cleveland and Akron, 32 in Worcester, 31 in Mansfield. And the good news is if you look to the west where our weather's coming from, those temperatures are very mild, even milder, like places like Indianapolis, Peoria, Davenport, Chicago with 35. So we have milder air coming for the next couple of days. Overnight tonight, temperatures should be quite comfortable, and then by tomorrow, we should climb to near 50 degrees. Some very mild air coming and high pressure as well, so we'll have some sunshine too. But for tonight, expect it to be crisp and clear with a low of 29 degrees. So that means for most of the night while you're outdoors, temperatures should be in the low 30s, so really comfortable out there. As for tomorrow, expect that high of 50 degrees with plenty of sunshine and certainly mild, very light winds. It's going to feel more like March than it will the first day of January. And the 5-day forecast of the 2 days, tomorrow will be the prettiest. We're bringing rain in the forecast for Sunday, and then for Monday, there's a few scattered flurries expected. For Tuesday, a chance of rain or possibly some snow as we dip down. And by Wednesday, we're looking for a high of only 30 degrees with a few scattered snow showers. But tonight and tomorrow, it just doesn't get much better. Lauren,
How about that? Nice way to start the new year.
Sure is.
Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, Susan.
Well, if you're spending this New Year's Eve at home with family and friends, keep your TV tuned right here to News Channel 5. We'll have live local coverage of 2,000 celebrations around Northeast Ohio throughout the evening. And when the clock strikes 12, you'll see the giant crystal ball drop on Times Square. Plus, we'll provide simultaneous live coverage of First Night Akron 2000 and the Public Square celebration in Cleveland. So have a safe and fun evening. We'll see you back here in an hour for another Celebrate 2000 update.
I don't think I've ever been so proud to work for a station that's affiliated with a network as ABC. What an outstanding job all day. Now back to ABC's great coverage of New Year's.
My biggest concern? I worry about leaving my home and spending my later years in a nursing home.
Me too. I'm afraid we'd have to use our savings if Bill or I ever needed long-term care.
I'd never want to burden my family if I ever became ill or disabled. I don't know where I'd turn.
You know, I take care of people in their home for a living, and I just heard about this new home health care plan from Physicians Mutual. It pays benefits for care at home. So now you can maintain your independence, protect your savings, and not burden your family.
That's right. You owe it to yourself to find out about the affordable new home health care plan from Physicians Mutual and stop worrying about the high cost of long-term care. I'm Dave Weber, paid spokesman for Physicians Mutual, and I urge you to write down this toll-free number and then call it to get this free information kit with all the details. Whether you suffer a disability like a broken hip, a chronic condition such as arthritis, or a serious illness such as a stroke, the home health care plan will be there to help. This insurance policy pays for nurses, therapists, homemakers, and other health professionals who come to your home to give you the care you need. A serious accident or illness can happen at any age. Thanks to Physicians Mutual's home health care plan, you can take action now to help protect your financial security and your quality of life. For an affordable cost today, the home health care plan helps preserve your future. It's hard to put a price tag on that kind of peace of mind. It's exactly the kind of security you'd expect from Physicians Mutual, a leader in providing solid, affordable protection you can depend on. For all the details, just call toll-free to get this free information kit. You get it directly by mail. There's no cost or obligation of any kind. If you value the comfort of staying home and maintaining your independence, you'll especially welcome this free information. Call today. Physicians Mutual, we're here when you need us.
News Channel 5 forecasters, official forecasters of the new millennium.
Live from around the world, a celebration of the millennium. This is ABC 2000. With Peter Jennings at ABC 2000 headquarters in Times Square, Barbara Walters in Paris, Diane Sawyer in New York, Charles Gibson in London, Cokie Roberts in Rome, Elizabeth Vargas in Sydney, Connie Chung in Las Vegas, Deborah Roberts in Orlando, Jack Ford in Times Square, Carol Simpson in Chicago, and Sam Donaldson at the Y2K Command Center in Washington. With our correspondents spanning the globe in Shanghai, Bombay, Bethlehem, Moscow, Havana, Rio de Janeiro, and across the U.S., reports from Miami, New Orleans, Tucson, Los Angeles, San Francisco. And in New York, Dick Clark counting down to the new year in Times Square. Special Millennium performances by Billy Joel, Elton John, Enrique Iglesias, Faith Hill, NSYNC, Fish, The Bee Gees, Aerosmith, Blondie, Bonnie Raitt, Neil Diamond, Harry Connick Jr., Kenny G, Ray Charles, The Eagles, Barry Manilow, David Blaine, and Barbra Streisand. from ABC 2000 headquarters at Times Square in New York, Peter Jennings.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to our Millennium coverage. This is normally the time when World News Tonight goes out to much of the country, but as far as the people here are concerned, and in fact in most of the world, there's only one great story today. What's right with the world as the century ends and the new one begins, and of course what has been left undone in this century to still be accomplished in the next century. So if you're just joining us, coming home from somewhere, I would try to bring you up to date with some of the other news. There's been an enormous amount of pageantry in the world, but there have been no Y2K problems that we are aware of. But as that was one of the stories about which people were so concerned at the beginning of the day, I want to make two quick checks. Let's go first to New Zealand, where ABC's James Walker has had an extraordinarily long day. It's now light again, Jimmy. And Jimmy's been worrying about all of the technological potential in Asia today. What's happened and what hasn't happened?
Peter, it's 12:30 p.m., afternoon of January 1st, a gorgeous day, about 75 degrees, and so far, here in New Zealand, not one single major, or for that matter, that we know of, minor Y2K problem. How much has the rest of the world been focused on New Zealand as the first industrial state to welcome the new year? Government officials say that the site recorded 4.7 million hits. Overall, a pretty darn good way to start the new century. Peter?
Thank you very much, Jimmy Walker. James Walker in New Zealand for us, who's been covering Y2K for the year. Sam Donaldson is at Y2K headquarters in Washington today, where Washington has been watching the world. What's going on, Sam?
Well, not so fast, Peter Jennings. We have a Y2K glitch to report. Confirmed in Delaware, the slot machines didn't work for a while at one of the racetracks, or some of them, because of a prospective 3-day look ahead. It's been fixed now, and you could lose your money at the Delaware racetracks. Other than that, nothing going on. And Americans seem to have taken this in stride, and they knew it all the time, Peter. No hoarding of food, no run on the gas stations, no extraordinary withdrawal of cash. In fact, the biggest point at this hour is that John Koskinen, who is the Y2K czar, is getting on an airplane right about now at National Airport to prove that you can fly safely. And we said to him, after all of these things that haven't happened, Mr. Koskinen, why not cancel the flight? I mean, politicians break their words all the time. They got elected president for having done so. He said, I said I would do it. I will fly. So we'll report to you at some point this evening that he has landed safely, I trust.
But Sam, let me ask you some questions about Y2K and the rest of the world, because we'll check in with Lisa Stark at the FAA when this 7 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time becomes so important for airlines particularly. But so many people were worried about Russia, and they were particularly worried about the Ukraine. Did nothing happen untoward at all?
Well, not that we know of. Obviously, reporting can be delayed. And obviously also, Peter, some of these systems can take a while, perhaps even days, to degrade. As was explained here, all right, the lights don't go out immediately, but monitoring systems that help those lights stay on may fail, and therefore, after a period of time, they may go down. But at the moment, everything looks fine in Ukraine, as far as we know. All of those 21 Soviet-built power plants, for instance, seem to have come through okay. There was some concern about that. And the grid seemed to be all right. It's just one of those wonderful exercises where those of us here poised to report disaster are denied that wonderful opportunity, and I couldn't be more thankful.
Thank you very much, Sam. We'll come back to you a little later in the evening. Of course, there's been tremendous planning for Y2K throughout the world for the last couple of years, and there's still people all across America concerned tonight that that little piece of equipment somewhere is going to go wrong. I don't mean to hype it at all, but it's going to go wrong and cause somebody misery in their life, so we'll continue to stay on it. One of the big changes, of course, of today was in Russia, where Boris Yeltsin, the president, announced very early this morning he'd had enough. He was going to give up his job to Vladimir Putin, who has been the acting president for much of the day, now going to be the permanent president in all likelihood. And let us go to Washington and ask ABC's John McWethy, our national security correspondent, what's the official, both political and military reaction to Mr. Putin's arrival on the scene in such a major way, John?
Peter, I think the U.S. government at this point is not all that upset that Vladimir Putin has now stepped into the important job in Russia. As you and everyone is very much aware, Boris Yeltsin had not been much of a firm hand governor for a number of months. American officials had been concerned by the drift in Russia. They feel that Vladimir Putin may well be the man to reestablish some of the law and order that is needed in Russia. He has said publicly that he is willing to pursue the democratic ideals that Boris Yeltsin was for. So thus far, they are not all that upset that there's a new president in Russia.
Though beyond being a law and order man, we don't know much about him, do we? We know something about his history, but we don't know where he wants to take the country.
Well, he has said publicly in his various conversations with American officials that he does want to pursue many of the same free market ideas that Boris Yeltsin did. One of the things that does concern officials is his very hard line on Chechnya, which, of course, the United States has been very critical of.
Okay, John, thanks very much. John McWethy at the Pentagon. One of the fascinating moments for us today was we went out to North American Air Defense Command headquarters, or to their Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado headquarters, and we were just about to listen to a briefing, and they saw some missile launches. It was John McWethy who explained that those are missiles being used in a short-range way as that rather vicious war, as that very vicious war continues in Chechnya tonight. And the good news from the Indian subcontinent today, as Lynn Sher reported from Bombay earlier, is that the hijackers who had taken that plane, the Air India plane, 8 days ago, abandoned the plane in Afghanistan this morning. These are some of the passengers arriving back in India tonight in exchange for the release of 3 Muslim militants who'd been in Indian prisons for quite some time. And in Afghanistan, the Taliban government gave the hijackers only 10 hours to leave the country or be arrested. The U.S. is urging they be brought to justice, but we haven't heard much in the last several hours, and the 10 hours have certainly expired. Back in this hemisphere, after nearly a century of ownership, the United States today officially handed over the Panama Canal to the Panamanians themselves. There was quite a moving ceremony in Panama itself. President Carter was there today. President Clinton and the Secretary of State decided not to go. And on Wall Street today, which we saw when Muhammad Ali sounded the bell to open the day, they ended this year with absolutely record highs for the Dow and the NASDAQ. For the year, the Dow is up 25%. The NASDAQ is up an extraordinary 85%. And finally, from here in the news, with all of the new births we have been reporting, we're sad to report, and many of his friends and admirers around the country are sad to hear of the death of Elliot Richardson, former Secretary of Defense, a former Attorney General in the Nixon administration in 1973. He resigned. Students of Watergate certainly remember, rather than obey President Nixon's command to fire the Watergate Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox. Mr. Richardson was 79. Now, just in case you haven't been with us for some or all of the day, we've asked ABC's Bob Brown to put together, I guess what you'd call at home, a highlight reel of some of what's been going on around the world.
Past the midnights, toward the dawns, through what people feared might happen and what they hoped would, this has been a day of spectacle in which all the world was a stage. As New York City raised the crystal ball, it will drop at midnight. A human conductor led a virtual orchestra with a laser baton, a virtuoso feat of the kind of technology that has defined the end of this millennium. But the fire of old-fashioned enterprise has also played a prominent role. After all, the South Pacific island nation of Kiribati had the international dateline reconfigured so that it would be the first to celebrate the new millennium. Kiribati had seen heavy casualties during World War II when U.S. troops drove out Japanese forces.
My dear child, take this torch of peace and hope from Kiribati so that it may light the whole world.
An old man and a boy headed out to sea in the direction of the next midnight, while dancers chanted a goodbye to the pain of the past in a ceremony of good luck. How quickly things seemed to move after that. In Auckland, New Zealand, the first city that might have experienced a millennium bug, there were no reported problems, only a giant celebration, although it will take much longer to assess what's really happened to the world's computers. And among the midnight theatrics, often staged around familiar landmarks, the Sydney, Australia Opera House offered a performance unlike any that had been seen there before. Dancers representing sea creatures from the harbor roamed the roof as 1 million people watched. China, one of the countries that gave fireworks to the rest of the world, had an impressive display of its own in Shanghai. But officials, anxious to dispel concerns that the country could be a Y2K disaster, kept its airlines flying past midnight to engender confidence. And in Beijing, the official celebration that started at midnight ended at 12:08. Far away from this performance of a national traditional music troupe in Seoul, Korea, others went up to the demilitarized zone where no photograph signs were posted, to hang messages on barbed wire wishing for peace with the North. God, please let these reunions happen, said one. The same hopes for peace in a different area of the world were represented in a joint concert between singers in Dublin, Ireland, and Derry, Northern Ireland. And evidence that hopes can be reached was on Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela spent most of his 26 years in prison before becoming president of South Africa. So many symbols of the past century were lit by their celebrations. Moscow, the capital of a nation which came into being in revolution, became a superpower, then dissolved in disarray. Despite terrible problems, Moscow celebrated in style. But on the Horn of Africa, territory over which the superpowers once struggled, ABC's Jim Wooten found silence.
Going from midnight in Moscow to midnight in Ali Ade, just listen. There's not a sound here. 11,000 refugees from Somalia have gone to bed.
In Bethlehem, thousands of Christian pilgrims were gathered in the town where Jesus was born, celebrating despite fears of terrorism. From the streets of India, filled with unbridled celebrations, to the stunning views of the Acropolis in Greece, a masterpiece before we began counting these last 2 millennia, the visual feast got better and better. Half the world has seen the millennium come now, and the rest has been revving up for it in unprecedented ways. One of the most impressive took place in Leipzig, Germany, with mime and music spilling into the streets. There was so much to look at today, it boggled the senses. A trip around the world that Jules Verne could barely have imagined. Soon to arrive here at home.
One more chance this century to hear Ode to Joy, which has been played. We've looked at the world with such a sense of awe today. This is one more chance to see some, or at least one, of the 11 different Ferris wheels, or wheels they like to call them, ferry wheels, that they have put up through Paris, all of which are extraordinarily conceptual, some of which play music, some of which have dancers on them. These are just artistic Ferris wheels. No one is going to be able to ride them, unlike that great Ferris wheel that has been built on the Thames in London. Everybody taking their cue from the Chicago Exposition in 1893, of course, and the American invention of the Ferris wheel. But here in Paris, there are these extraordinary demonstrations of technology which bring together in one place some of the technology we have witnessed around the world today. 11 different ferry wheels, as we said, up and down these various parts of Paris, reminding us of how extraordinary this fascination is with technology as we go into the 21st century. It is just as it was as we entered the 20th century. We'll continue in just a moment.
This is ABC 2000, the celebration of the millennium. Brought to you by Pfizer, where life is our life's work. And by Autotrader.com, the biggest, best used car site on the planet.
This is the face of erectile dysfunction. So is this. And this. Fact is, 1 in 3 men have some form of ED, a medical condition also called impotence that affects men of every age, race, and background. What else do all these men have in common? They all faced up to their problem and got help. If you're experiencing ED, there's no need to hide your face. Just talk to your doctor. It's the best way to get educated about ED and how to treat it.
We need a car?
A minivan.
No.
An SUV.
With leather.
Blue.
Green.
Bluish green.
Introducing Autotrader.com. Over 1 million used cars updated daily, make it the biggest, best used car site on the planet.
Now we need insurance.
And a loan.
Autotrader.com. Your car is waiting.
Sooner or later, you're going to quit smoking. So consider this. A quit date this good won't come along for another 1,000 years. Don't waste it. Quit with Nicoderm CQ. CQ's got the 3 gradual steps, and hundreds of thousands of smokers have already quit with it. Wasn't 1 millennium smoking enough? Start the next one with Nicoderm CQ. The power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit.
Announcing a new way to see, near and far. AccuView bifocal contact lens with pupil intelligent design. Call 1-800-531-2121 for a free trial pair or visit your eye care professional.
The easiest just got easier. Introducing America Online New Version 5.0 with all new features so it's easier to stay in touch and easier to get started. AOL New Version 5.0. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Call now and we'll sign you up right over the phone.
This is a fruitcake. You could spend the next few days enjoying holiday treats like this, or you could come to the Gotta Get a Kia year-end sales event and get a 2000 Sportage starting at $13,795 after $1,000 cash back. It's your choice. Either get $1,000 cash back during the Gotta Get a Kia year-end sales event, or enjoy your fruitcake. Nice save.
Monday, are Americans working too hard? Should there be a nationwide plan to slow down? Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Log on to abcnews.com to post your New Year's message. It could end up on live TV on ABC's Times Square ticker. Celebrate with abcnews.com.
The Mercury Grand Marquis. Feel what it's like to travel first class for the price of coach. Now get into Mercury Grand Marquis for around $21,118. It's the only car in its class with V8 power. It has the highest owner loyalty in its class, the largest trunk in its class, plus the government's highest 5-star crash test rating. Grand Marquis is clearly a lot for the money. Start living large for around $21,118. You have virtually every luxury except time. See your Mercury dealer now.
We're back to London, where they will soon celebrate midnight. The Queen, almost 50 years on the throne, inside the Millenium Dome, which the British Prime Minister Tony Blair said was going to show the world that the British can still do things as big and as well, if not better than anyone. And our Charlie Gibson is there as well. Charles?
Peter, this dome is in Greenwich. It's about 4 miles down the Thames. And of course, Greenwich so important because it is the center of time. These young people that the Queen has called to the stage are running forward, and they are going to take down a giant curtain which surrounds the Millenium Dome. Here it is coming down, and it will give people the first look at the immensity of this dome. It is a gigantic structure that is along the Thames River in Greenwich. It is the size of 2 Georgia domes, to give you some sense of what it is equal to in this country or in the United States. My favorite stat fact of the entire millennium, actually, is that somebody said if you turned this over and put it right under Niagara Falls, it would take 12 minutes to fill up. It is a giant theater there in the center. The people are cheering. There are about 12,000 invited guests there tonight. And then it is a theme park all around with 14 different centers that reflect science and parts of British life and faith and medicine and a number of things. It is a participatory place where people can come and tour these various centers, as well as see theatrical acts in the middle. We are told that the Queen is going to have a few remarks at this Millennium Dome. She has not said anything today, and this will be her opportunity to give a New Year's message to the United Kingdom. You know, with all due respects to Paris, and it was a fantastic show there, the British say they're going to have a bigger show come midnight than any place else in the world. We'll see if they make good on it. But the Queen will spend midnight at the Millennium Dome with these 12,000 invited guests, and the major fireworks show is going to go on along the Thames in London.
And do I understand, Charlie, we're now listening to this New Beginning by John Taverner?
Yes, this is a special composition for the new year and for the unveiling of this dome. This project is very important to the British government. It was started by John Major when he was Prime Minister, and he approved it. Then Tony Blair came in, the Labour government, and they endorsed it as well because it is so important to this country to be seen as modern, very much in the 21st century, not just a relic of the past. Peter?
Our coverage will continue in just a moment.
Should have used Energizer. They keep going and going and going.
This is a fruitcake. You could spend the next few days enjoying holiday treats like this, or you could come to the Gotta Get a Kia year-end sales event and get a 2000 Sportage starting at $13,795 after $1,000 cash back. It's your choice. Either get $1,000 cash back during the Gotta Get a Kia year-end sales event, or enjoy your fruitcake. Nice save.
Stand by, I'll be ground, X-31, right here,
Initiating data download.
At Merrill Lynch, we're still bullish.
Analyzing data.
From Wall Street to the world.
Introducing the new AccuView 2 contact lens. So natural, it feels like you're wearing nothing at all. For a free trial pair, call us or visit your eye care professional.
Celebrate ABC's Super January with the BCS. Wisconsin meets Stanford in the Rose Bowl, presented by AT&T. Alabama faces Michigan in the FedEx Orange Bowl. Number 3 Nebraska battles number 5 Tennessee in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. And number 1 Florida State meets number 2 Virginia Tech for the national championship down in New Orleans in the Nokia Sugar Bowl.
How do you like that? Touchdown!
30 years of making Monday night special. This week, San Francisco, Atlanta at 9, 6 Pacific.
During this special season of
thankfulness and sharing, we
at News Channel 5 ask you to join
us in brightening the lives of the
many men, women, and children in our community who need our help. If everyone gives
just $1, think of the
hope, the light we could share. Holiday Drive 5.
Because being on your side means caring.
Peter, welcome back to London. We are now, I know you have a raft of clocks in the New York studio. We have but one, but it's the most famous clock in the world, I think, Big Ben, which indicates that we have 5 minutes till midnight here in London. The estimates of the crowds here along the Thames have been 2 million, 2.5. I don't know. That seems conservative to me, because this celebration, when the fireworks start going off in London, is going to cover a 4-mile stretch of the Thames River. And the crowd is literally 75, 100 deep all along the river. An extraordinary sight is Westminster Bridge. I hope we have a picture of it that you can see, because it is absolutely jammed with people. It is chock-a-block solid with people, and all of the bridges up and down the Thames are the same way, as well as the northern embankment of the river, the southern embankment as well. Now, as you have concentrated on other cities properly, things have gone on here. Prime Minister Tony Blair, not too long ago, was along the side of the river. He extended a laser beam which shot across the river and started the Millenium Wheel, or the London Eye, as they call it, this giant Ferris wheel that has been constructed on the banks of the Thames that hovers 50 feet above Big Ben, that is going to be here for at least 5 years. I think it is equivalent to what happened in 1889 when the French unveiled the Eiffel Tower. Some people hate it, many people love it, but I think it will be a permanent fixture here in London. It symbolizes the clock, the passing of time. It is also very modern, it is participatory, and that people will eventually be able to ride on it, even though it didn't pass safety inspections yesterday. They've gotten this thing up in just a few weeks, and it will be, I think, a symbol of modern London. And Tony Blair wants London to be seen as modern. Now, I want to give you some explanation of what they're going to try to do in 2 minutes. The sun, as the Earth spins around, the sun is actually traveling across the sky at about a mile every 2.5 seconds. They are going to light the Thames on fire. It is called a river of fire, as they have branded it. The fireworks will start at Tower Bridge, and for 4 miles they will travel right down the river. It will appear as if the river is on fire, because it is the fireworks will be moving at the same speed as the sun across the sky, and they will cover 4 miles in 10.8 seconds with rockets that will blanket the sky at a height of 200 feet. That will be as Big Ben is chiming midnight. And then after that, there's going to be about 15 minutes of fireworks. The Britishers say this is, modestly say, this is the largest fireworks show in the history of the planet. They have 39 tons of fireworks. They're going to set off 45 major fireworks every second. So we have 1 minute to go. This is going to be quite a show. Now, Big Ben has a little bit of preliminary music that comes just before the bells start to bong. That is going to start shortly, and then the Britishers say will come the silence, which is about 1 or 2 seconds before you hear the 12 bongs of midnight. And as that begins, the river of fire will extend right up the Thames River. As we say, the crowds are very thick. The mood is very anticipatory. This should be quite something to see. Peter, is quite something.